any second.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is the Backdrop CMS documentation meeting for Thursday, the 21st of August, 2025 in most parts of the world. Um, to start off, we'll do introductions. My name's Martin Price, Yorkshire Pudding around Backdrop. And I'm a backdrop developer in Northeast England. Tim?
Oh, my name's Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota. And yeah, I missed the dev meeting today. For anybody who doesn't know, we have a week till feature freeze, so we need help in the issue queue. That's all. Izzy.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I'm from Vancouver, BC, and I'm working with Backdrop as well, like that. And yes, it's actually 10 days to feature freeze, but that gives you a little more time to get more in. Okay, thanks.
That's great. So one issue that we've been thinking quite a lot about, and we feel that this is quite an enabling change if we can get it in, is to make it easier to have a workflow for creating new revisions of existing documentation pages. The core backdrop functionality is if you create a new revision, then that is live. But what we actually want to be able to do is to be able to do draft revisions, have the option for someone to look over it. Obviously, if it's just simply correcting a typo, we might not bother with asking someone to look over it. But if it's a major rewrite or significant changes, then it's likely that we will want at least one other person to cast their eyes over it and make sure we haven't made any mistakes. And that goes for people who are experienced, but also especially people who are maybe novices and who want to contribute, maybe not technical, but want to contribute to the documentation. But need to have the confidence that they're not going to write something completely wrong and it's going to be live and publishing. So Tim and working with Joseph have created a module called Draft Workflow, which in many respects meets the needs, but there's a we one thing that has been identified that would be a key benefit is for it to work with the diff module. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
So I apologize. I'm quickly checking to see. I have a test environment that we can look at again to look at this module. But yeah, and we don't have to limit ourselves to that option. But I think what we'd like for a goal for this conversation would be to come up with a specific proposal, something we can do now, and it doesn't have to be the best or the ultimate solution, but like the first thing we want to try to help with that workflow process. And we want to put together a proposal that we can get to um, we have like a web team that's supposed to manage our internal sites, which would include the documentation site. And if we can put forward a specific proposal of what we'd like for this workflow at first step, then they can approve that and we can try to get it implemented. So that's kind of the workflow we're looking at. I am gonna, if you guys stall for a minute, I'm gonna get a dev environment so we can look at the draft workflow as one option, but we can also talk about or try other things if we want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Gotta say,
so,
you gotta entertain our YouTube viewers.
yeah, well, just got breaking news. My wife has just finished walking the St. Cuthbert's Way. So she's just walked across the sands to the Holy Island of Lindisfarne, which is at the end of St. Cuthbert's Way. In so from the Scottish, she's walked from the Scottish borders to Holy Island over over 4 days.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. How long did this take? Well,
Yeah, she started on
congratulations
Wednesday.
to her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were with her in spirit.
Yeah.
Or does she resent it if you say that? Nope, if you weren't here,
Oh,
you weren't here.
no, I was supporting from afar, and I'm going to pick her up tomorrow. So,
Okay, good. So I went ahead and shared my screen, although I don't think I have the module involved yet. But as usual, I like to do this stuff live because some people, just so that other people can see how to do it. So this draft workflow module is pretty new, but it does have a release, so you can install it. And we're also going to need the diff module, right?
yeah, I had a quick look at the code for the diff module, and it does say that it does replace the core revisions table. So it does look likely that that will need to be rewritten. So instead of replacing the revisions table, it simply alters it.
Okay, so we did, nope, that's the wrong place. So I think I enabled both of these modules. So, oh, we didn't, there we go. Workflow. So we're going to disable draft workflow. Let's look at the diff one first, just for the in case anybody's watching this on YouTube and hasn't seen it before. S post, S save. Do we have edit? Okay, so we're going to create a new revision.
Yeah.
Revision 1, and I'll update test revision 1. And what the diff module does is lets you go to this revision table, which normally wouldn't look like this, and pick any two versions of a node and say compare, and then it will show you what the changes were. We can go back to this and make another revision, revision 2. We have to go in here to say create a new revision.
Well, that will stay from revision to revision. You don't have to rechange that.
Well, if I don't check that box, it won't make a new. It'll just edit the previous.
No. Yeah, that's right. But once you check that box, it will always create a new revision every time.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Unless you have unless you have the enforce revision log module, which can force a revision every time.
Yes,
it doesn't remember.
Exactly, and I find that to be a weakness, but there is a contrib solution to that. And I don't know. I think we might have tried to build something like that into the draft workflow module. But either way, if we're going to suggest using, I think we might want to suggest having the enforced revisions option for whatever we propose.
Yeah.
So anyways, I do now have 3 revisions. So now we could actually test it this way, right? We can say compare the first to the third revision. And although I didn't give very helpful, useful changes like I should have, One of the things we'll point out, oh no, I can't show that yet. Let's go to the most current revision and actually edit that. That should be revision 3, but here is so that's not checked. But because this is still the third revision, I can go ahead and save it without creating a new revision. And now we actually have, the third revision is revision 3. And the second revision is revision, I went revision 1 to revision 3, sorry. Let's not get bogged down in that. Anyways, that's how the diff module works. Actually, let's do really quickly, just to make this a little bit more useful. Let's edit this and actually put up, this is a better test of the revision diff module. There we go. I'm going to intentionally misspell that. Create a revision. Save. Oh, we have a typo, so we go in and change it. And module. Create a revision. Save. Now when we go to revisions, we've got a bunch. We do a compare, and we can see exactly the word that's been edited. Okay, let's turn off this module and go to the draft workflow, Now, if we go to our test post, the difference is, and for anybody who, again, missed this before, the diff module and the draft workflow conflict, so they don't both work. So what our goal is to make them work together. But right now, we won't be able to do both of them. So we turned off the diff module, we turned on this, and we see we have the same set of revisions. And the big thing that the draft workflow module does is without the draft workflow module, the most recent revision is always the current or the published revision. It's always the one the public is going to see. But with the draft workflow module, we can make, say, this third one. So we can make that one the current revision. And now if I view the node, it says revision 3. Whereas if I go to the revisions and I click on this is what the most recent. So basically we have a newer revision that is not public. It's not published. It's just there to be worked on. And we can keep, we can open that up. Here's an interesting problem. Is there, edit this revision. There we go. So we can, editing this revision. So this is a draft that, again, the public can't see yet, but people could go in and use the draft workflow module to continue to make changes to this.
So you might, I think in this case, it will make sense to have meaningful revision log messages.
Yes.
So for example, in the case of the doc site, it might be editing documentation page to reflect changes to core made in issue 6789. And that way, when you might do a bit and then come back to it later, but you can easily see that this is what you're doing.
Yeah. Oops. So there you go. So this is what that would look like if we made, and you're right, for the doc site, the enforce revision log module also makes you actually put something into that box, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that might be something we would include in our workflow, is force people to add a comment about what they're changing, so that somebody later can come along and say, okay, this is what the current revision is. There's 2 revisions afterwards. They can see those notes, but they could also then use the diff and compare the most recent revision with the current one and see all the changes that have been made. That seems like that would be pretty important,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
would really be a good workflow. What do you all-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Izzy, any comments?
No, I'm liking this. I was a bit puzzled when you go into edit
Mhm.
any revision,
Yeah,
um, and you go down, it says that it's published. And that was confusing me because we're editing an unpublished draft.
yes.
There was
So-
a quite a detailed discussion. So whether something is published is the state of the node, and the state of the revision. I'm not sure whether it's just active or not active. Whether
Well, we're
it's as
calling it
simple as
current or not current. is what we're-
current. Similar thing. So
Right,
it's separate. It's separate to the published state of the node.
Right.
right. But it's
We-
confusing
It is, yeah.
because we are working on the unpublished, non-current version,
Exactly.
right?
So we had big discussions about this, Izzy, because I agree it's very confusing. The best we came up with to help with that, and we would appreciate, this is where the UI for this module could use some improvements, is we did add this comment to try and help say that when you change the published state, you're changing it for all versions of the node. So a node is either published or not published. And then you have a current and not current versions. And I would like to be able to say like this version is published, except that could really confuse other people
Yeah.
because the way Backdrop treats a node is that either all versions are published or not. Literally the table, the table says that all versions are published. And so we don't want to create that confusion. So I think the solution is good help text, but
Yeah.
whether or not we've
Yeah.
got there yet is the question.
Yeah, it's almost like you need when you're editing a non-current version, you need these options to be grayed out. Like you can't change those options, and you need the
Well,
setting to say working on a non-current draft.
yeah, maybe. I'm thinking about that.
Not
That
sure.
I hear where
Yeah,
you're
not
coming
sure.
from. I'm not sure if that's the best solution, but
Well, when you want to finally activate a version, you would normally come here and you would make this the make this the current revision.
I think that's a legitimate argument, Izzy. I'm not sure if everybody would agree. I'm leaning towards agreeing with you, but I'm thinking about it some more.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think like what we've got at the top of this page is we've got an information that says this post is published. So it might be that we have we could have like an info bar at the top of the edit page to say this is not the current revision, or this is the current revision.
Yes, but
Because
again,
we show it when we're viewing it, but it's possibly not as clear as it could be when you're editing it.
yes. But yes, so that was like having this message here was another
Yeah.
way that we tried to reinforce that difference between being current and published. But I hear you, and I think there's still more things we could do. I think, like in Backdrop Core, to me, I think it's not always obvious that I'm looking at a revision. Like right now,
Yeah.
am I looking at a revision or am I looking at the published node? I'm not sure. In fact, well, I think I think that it says up here revision if it's not the current, right? So
Yeah.
this is the current one. If I look at any other one, it says revision of. But that's easy to forget that. And I don't know. I'd like to make that a different color or something, or put a bar. This is not the current revision. Now, if you're actually are looking at the current revision, then does it do anything special, or does it just look? I think if it is the current revision and it is published, then it should just look normal, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't say this is the current published.
Yeah, it does. So in core, when you're viewing it, it does say revision of about. Say this is the about page. It says revision of about from the date.
Yep.
So.
But
and it.
Oh yeah, so it does. Is this in core that this post is unpublished?
No.
I don't. So what is?
No.
I wonder then if.
Oh, hang on. It might be.
We might have added that in the draft workflow. Let me.
Let's have a look.
Well, we'll just disable draft workflow module. Now, if I go back to that,
I think there's a reasonable chance.
Oh yeah, it has to be in core because.
Yeah, I think it is in core.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm a little bit confused by that though, because I was sure that I just ran into a situation where I was on an unpublished node and I couldn't tell, unless there may be like an option to turn this off, and maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, it does. Because I'm on a site and it doesn't.
This is interesting too. I've turned off the draft workflow module.
Might be flush all caches.
Well, I just did.
But you haven't uninstalled it. I've been playing around with the content moderation module, and I'm having the same kind of phenomena showing up there.
Okay. So you have to actually disable the module
and uninstall it.
And uninstall it. Okay, let's try that. Oh, go to uninstall. We'll go ahead and uninstall both of them just to be sure. Okay, now oops.
Oh, I'm still getting the post.
It's still
unpublished.
Yeah, well, what's puzzling me is that it's still this current revision thing, so that must be a change that was made to the table. Let's see, but there is no option to make. I can't make another one. So what happens? Let's see what happens if I edit this node and say, okay, after disabling workflow module. Now, if I go to the revisions table, okay, we have just found a bug, I think. Well, yeah, this is very puzzling to me because you shouldn't be able to have forward drafts. I think, without the draft workflow module.
Yeah, but I guess it's not because that exists in core, but it's only your module that takes advantage of it. So it's perfectly right that you've used that module to set an older revision as the current revision, and that doesn't change. That the state of that revision doesn't change just because you've uninstalled the module. Now, what you won't be able to do is create any new forward revisions, but it doesn't change the fact that functionality exists in core, but all your module gave the ability to leverage that.
So it
So I
did.
think
Now,
that's right.
when I created a new revision of the current one, it automatically went to the front. And now, yeah, now I think the current revision will always be the most recent one until we enable the draft workflow again. So I don't know if I would consider, I guess it's probably not a bug. It's just a case where it acts a little weirdly until in transition.
Yeah.
And it's not even that weird. But so is the terminology current revision built into core? It must be.
Must be, yeah.
I was thinking that was something we added that we added with the draft workflow module, but I guess not.
Let's have a quick look. Yeah, no, it does say that on
Okay.
there.
Well, then that's a good reason for us to stick with that language.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so there's sort of two questions. It sounds like the three of us are in agreement that if we could get the diff module working with the draft workflow
Yeah.
module, that would be a good first step to the solution. Now,
Yeah.
we've discussed some possible UI improvements to the draft workflow module, but I don't know if any of them would block like implementing this, right? We could,
No, I don't think they would.
yeah. I mean, we could continue to try and make the draft workflow module better, the UI a little clearer, add help text, etc. But that's independent of sort of our recommendation that just get the two to work together.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think as well, it will probably be better because the diff module makes a revision table quite garish with colours that may or may not that are quite opinionated and may not work with every admin theme, and may not be suitable for people with color blindness. So it's probably better if we can get the diff module to stick with the regular to basically just alter the revision table and just put the UI elements in for comparing ones rather than changing the colors.
Okay. So that's another change to the diff module that we'd like is
Yeah,
to,
to be honest, I mean, I think it's just one change to the diff module, which is at the moment the diff module basically says I don't want the regular revision table. I want to I'm going to replace it entirely, and it builds its own form. And because whereas your module just adds additional options to the existing form, which I think is probably the right way of going about it.
okay.
And it actually changes it to say this is the published revision rather than current revision.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a few, we'd have to work on that wording. We're going to have to work on
Yeah.
whatever problems there are with the table, and then were you suggesting? Well, we could even think about adapting. Did you want to tone down the color? Like if, assuming the
Yeah, I'm just not sure of the benefit of certainly from an accessibility point of view,
right,
that having that green background with the blue text on the left-hand side is a nightmare for people with color blindness.
sure. So that could be fixed, but I'm thinking about whether or not adding like this yellow, you know, the draft workflow module doesn't do any colors, and maybe
No, but I think Core has a pale yellow for the current revision.
oh, it does. Okay, well, making that all more consistent then, like
Yeah.
using that for the current one here, and then like the other one should probably be something else. Oh, well, that's like, why is this one yellow? It's not any one you pick doesn't become yellow.
Yeah.
It's just the one
Yeah, so
before.
it doesn't make sense. You probably
Yeah,
just want to have the current one being yellow and then any
right,
other one that you pick.
right. Because that makes it seem like there's something special about this one.
Yeah, it
And
does.
there's not. Okay. Well, let's, I think we have our proposal.
Yeah.
Now, but the proposal involve, there's some changes have to be made to the diff module, so we got to get those through first.
Yeah.
I think we could still submit the proposal and get
Yeah.
the web team, agree to that in
Yeah.
principle,
Yeah. Yeah.
pending the changes to the diff module, and
Yeah.
then get the diff module working. And maybe what I'll try to do is create a little screencast that's like less than 5 minutes that summarizes quickly what we talked about,
Yeah.
so that other
It
people
might
can.
it might be worth also suggest including the enforced revlog
Yes,
module in that proposal, because
yes,
I do I think even if someone is just correcting a typo, I think it's still important that creates a new revision.
Yeah,
yes, and
that's critical.
you can delete
Yeah,
like if a revision turns out to be trivial, you could delete it later.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's important to have that revision set.
One of the things that
I'm going to see if that module has any conflicts with the draft workflow right now.
yeah. Yeah, good thinking. I haven't tested that.
Content, test post. We'll probably have to turn it on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I go edit, yeah, nothing's
Yeah,
happening, but that's
So if you
because,
go to configuration,
is it not by content type?
I think it's revision
you can select the
revisions.
content
Yeah,
types as
revision
well.
settings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found it. Here we go.
But-
So what you can also do, and I think this will be useful, is you can enforce permissions for user one. So if you basically disable the ability for administrators to skip the revision log message or override create new revision, you can also enforce that for user one, who basically is able to do everything, but by default it yeah.
Okay, so it removes the button.
Yeah.
And it's, but what happens if I don't? If I hit save, what happens?
So I think so. If you now go to permissions,
Sorry.
User accounts permissions, and search for Revlog. In there.
Force revision logs.
And basically, yeah, so take it off there. Now you won't be able to save it without. So if you now try and save that.
Okay, well, because I'm user one, maybe that's still the problem.
Or it might be because it's not a new revision.
Yes. Well.
So try creating a new revision, because it's an existing revision.
Yeah, you're right. So this is a copy. So this is a new revision.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to save that. Oh, it's still letting me do it.
All right. Okay.
But the change isn't there.
This is with the draft workflow module.
It is, yeah. So this could be a conflict with the draft workflow.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll have to.
Let's try if it's the current revision. Let's try that. Current. I'm going to allow misspelling. No, it still allowed that change.
So did you, in the Revlog, did you basically remove the bypass for user one? Yeah, you did. Enforce permissions for user one, enforce. And you've got it on host, so it should be.
Let's disable the draft workflow module. Even on
I think there's a bug in the enforce revisions log module in terms of enforcing permissions.
Oh,
is there?
Maybe it's just maybe there isn't. It's just for user one, so you do have to change the permissions.
It might simply be that I've never tested it, because when I did this,
right,
when I created it, I didn't know about the future logs, so it might simply be that it needs some changes, but there's certainly no reported bugs about it. So
no, I don't think it's a bug. I don't think it's a bug. I'm just looking at my setup here, because I have that module running and I'm using permissions for administrators and editors. This is specifically for overriding it for user one. I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah, but I think we need to. I need to sort of have a look and see if I can make it play nicely with the draft workflow module.
Yeah, well, so additional testing needs to be done on the enforced revisions and its compatibility with draft workflow. But in principle, we would like to enforce revisions. One of the things that I was getting at, though, with the UI is that if you're Joseph and I think we're talking about this, and I don't remember like, if you're enforcing revisions, then I feel like that should pop up and just be visible, right? Or it should be the default option, because like if you're saying you have to you can't save this unless you do something that's in a hidden tab, that feels to me like
Yeah.
not good UI, right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to do about that. Whether
Is this your
whether
module? Are you maintaining
yeah,
it? Okay.
yeah. I ported it and did some. I think I added the user one override. And I also made the ability to, because this module was originally just about forcing a revision log if you made a revision. But I actually did it so you could force a revision for each modification, and the ability to force it for user one if the permission is disabled, if the override permission is disabled for the admin role.
Well, Martin, I don't think we need
So
to.
I'll have a look and
Yeah.
see whether I can make some simple changes to so that it.
Just my opinion. I think that I feel like Joseph and I were playing with this with the draft workflow module, like forcing this box to be visible. And it could be that we never implemented that because it just turned out to be trickier than we hoped. And we said, well,
Yeah,
screw that for now. We'll set it aside. But I'm pretty sure we talked about that, because if you really want people to fill this button out, I think it shouldn't be sort of hidden
yeah, it
away.
should be. I mean, it should be because we're altering the form. It should be feasible to
Yeah.
say, actually, I want revision information to be active.
Right. Right.
If we're enforcing it. So I'll have a look.
Okay. Now, it's possible that the draft workflow module would want that behavior, but maybe under normal circumstances, because in the draft workflow, you're kind of the way you publish and unpublish nodes is a little bit different. And it might be that it like makes more sense to have this as the default. And maybe in other situations, it still makes sense to make that the default. So think about that and just let me know but you have to think a little more about that. But I just want to, if you're forcing people to fill this out, let's make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
So, at the very worst, there could be a notification that says, remember to fill out your revision notification or revision. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
So we have pretty clear plan what we want to do. Martin and I are both going to look at our module, the diff module. We're either going to have to, one of us are going to have to get on as maintainer or get like Nate involved. But we could possibly do some PRs for him. And I think if we did some PRs for him, that we could get him to approve them.
Yeah.
Just because, that's where
I mean, Nate's all for getting things to work better with Core. So
I think we did have a big discussion with him about this, didn't we, at one point in a dev meeting, I think. So. Okay, let's get him involved or like I said, get one of us added as maintainer. But we'll see. So is that it? I take it that'll be it for today. I do have to leave in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you showing us how the draft workflow module works. And I agree with you. We need to all play around a little bit more with it and come up with some concrete suggestions of the next steps.
Yeah, I think if we can get it to work with the diff, if we can get the diff module so that it works with with other revision modules, then I don't think we need to get all the UI improvements to the draft workflow module before we can implement this in the docs site, because they could come later.
Something just occurred to me. So this could be like a major release for the diff module, and what I'm like a 2x or something. What I'm getting at is that maybe the diff, maybe there are other modules that people are using with the diff module, that if we make the changes we want, then it breaks its compatibility with other modules.
Possibly, I'm not sure.
So I wonder if it might turn out that this needs to be like an API breaking release, so that you either stick with the old one. If you could try the new one, but if it doesn't work, you can go back to the old one. Maybe we'll talk to Nate.
Way to see is look at the diff API and see. Yeah, so people can do diffs for different entities. So let's see if anyone is.
I feel like Nate said that there was some diff capability built into Core as well, that doesn't have like a UI, but it is used maybe for like the what am I thinking? The config management.
Yeah.
We probably, so one of us needs to talk to Nate as soon as possible and decide, is the diff, because it might turn out that it's just as easy.
Yeah, well, searching for hook entity diff in Backdrop Contrib, the only place it is in is in the diff module. It doesn't look like any other modules are doing anything with it. Any other contrib modules, I should say.
But is it possible that there are other modules that don't actually call that thing, but they assume that the table, that the whatever, if the diff module is making changes to the what?
Yeah, it's possible.
So I'm thinking that's another way that changing the diff module might, if we actually change, if we change the way the diff module manages the database, that or the database table, the revision table, then that could also break things. I don't know. We'll have to look into all this. We don't have to decide this stuff right now. I think we have a plan. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, I think there's a user revision table.
Maybe we talk about this a little bit more at the user group next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to stop sharing and maybe stop the recording.